Have you ever tried dropping a bike wheel? They bounce just a little bit, which is a good thing. It adds a little bit of suspension to the bicycle and allows it to roll over things that are a little bumpy. This is why we don't use solid rubber tires on bicycles. It makes the ride better. The problem is what happens when you don't have a lot of weight holding down the tire. I hope it's pretty obvious what the problem I'm going to talk about is, but you can see the front wheel's all the way out here and the seat's all the way back here. So if I come and sit on the bike, all my weight is here, mostly over the back tire, but mostly not over the front tire. So with the front tire so far out front, it comes up off the ground super easily. If I hit anything even remotely bumpy, if I hit gravel, it slides very easily because there's nothing holding it to the ground. Like I said, all 215 pounds of me are back here, nothing is out front. And that makes for a real problem because it means that it's really simple to lose traction when this thing goes over any sort of a rough surface. Part of the issue too just comes from the fact that these front tires are pretty small and pretty narrow, so there's not a lot for them to grip onto. These are 20-inch tires and they're 28 millimeters, I think, and that means that where they touch the ground, that patch isn't very big, so they're prone to sliding as it is. So one of the problems is that finding tires that work with this particular front wheel is actually kind of difficult. The wheel takes 451 ISO size tires that are this big. This is very small, you may have noticed. If you compare it to a normal size 700C road bike tire, it's substantially smaller. The problem is that this 451 ISO wheel is actually a pretty uncommon wheel size, and so they don't make a great variety of tires for it. It's one of two sizes commonly referred to as 20-inch, and the other 20-inch size is actually substantially more common, the 406 ISO wheel size. There's a lot better tires in that wheel size. This one, 451, not particularly a lot of good tires in that size. The one I'm holding here, I think is the original owner of the Infinity bought it when he bought the bike in 1993. So this tire is pretty much over 30 years old, and it doesn't feel good, and it's also very narrow, which was the style at the time. It's 28 millimeters, not the most narrow tire. You could imagine something much more narrow, but for something like a recumbent where you want more traction on the front end, you want something wider. And a big problem is that they don't make a ton of tires in this size that are much wider. But if you spend enough time on the internet and you spend enough time Googling, you will eventually find one or two. This one is the widest one that I could find. It's 37 millimeters, and I am excited to put it on my rim and find out whether or not it will actually increase the grip I have on the road on the front end. Here goes a 30-year-old tire. Oh, this is not coming off without levers. Okay. Oh, this is old rubber, man. Huh. This tube has seen better days too. I don't have any other 20-inch tube floating around right now, so just gonna have to make do with it. It just keeps falling off. Okay, there we go. Hey, that's actually not too hard. Great. All right, it's on the rim. So I'm gonna put the tube in and can just pop the wheel on, make sure the tube's not sticking out anywhere. Might not actually need the levers at all to get this on. This is a nice, actually pliable, supple kind of tire. I'm impressed. Oh, wow, yeah, easy, not hard at all. Okay, I'm gonna go pump this up, I'm gonna put it on the bike, and I don't know, let's go down to Kennebec Street. There's not a lot of people driving down that street, and see how the bike handles. Hi, update. My tube was a little worse for wear and tear, and the valve broke. So now I gotta go to my local bike shop and hope that they have a 20-inch inner tube. It does nothing. Okay, so update number 2, I went down to Portland Gear Hub and asked them if they had any 20-inch tubes, and they were like, yeah. And I was like, pressed the valve, and they were like, oh. Good news is, we still had some, so we're good to go. Update number 3. The tire came unseated when I was putting the wheel back on the bike, and the tube exploded. So when my ears are done ringing, I'm gonna go buy another one. Life is never neat, but I think the tire's gonna stay on the rim this time. So let's go put it on the bike. Here on Kennebec Street, looks accommodating. That's why all the tourists come down here. So yeah, wheels on. And it looks good. It's actually a really nice looking tire. I'm glad I got it. So I'm gonna take this down our cobblestone road here. As you can see, it's a pretty great quality. Oh, that is way too high of a gear. Oh. All right, here goes the top one. All right, there we go. Bye, everybody. Oh yeah. Oh. All right, so initial impressions are that I actually feel pretty good on the cobblestones. I was not bouncing around as much as I was on my old front tire. And just part of the reason for that, I think, is because I can inflate this tire to a much lower PSI than that other one. Not that I was like terribly worried about getting a pinch flat on a tube that didn't really have any weight over it, but it just felt kind of sloppy to have that tube inflated sort of low. This one I feel pretty comfortable running it at like 50 PSI. It's gauged for 105, which seems wild for a tire that wide. I would never run a tire that high, even a narrow, skinny tire, just because there's no real reason to. But yeah, with this, no bouncing around really, handled really well on all the cobbles. So now I'm gonna try it in this dirt lot, see what happens. Okay, did you see that? So one of the problems that occurs when you're riding a bike with no weight on the front is you can skid the front tire really easily. There's no weight on the front. I just hit the front brake and it'll lock up pretty easily. I did it on purpose a couple of times, but then I went over this really bumpy section over here. And yeah, you saw me almost take a spill. So, I mean, first of all, let's be totally honest. This is a road bike. It's just a really, really long road bike. This is not meant to be ridden in these conditions. There are a lot of routes that I take, you know, historically anyway, where part of the ride just has to be dirt to get where I'm going. And so that's a reality when you're riding a bike like this. You're gonna encounter dirt. That said, with this new tire on the front, the handling was actually pretty good through most of this sort of dusty, rocky stuff. Where it gets kind of bumpy is where it's obviously the worst, but I'm not bouncing around nearly as much as I used to, and I really think that this is giving me better traction on the front end. One more thing before I go is that, you know, this front fork is actually a BMX fork and has just a lot of room. It's got a ton of tire clearance, and if I can find something wider, I'm gonna put it on there, but I don't know if I can find something wider. The only other alternative is that I go to the smaller 20-inch wheel size, the 406mm size. I don't know that I can find brakes that will reach far enough to do that, but you know, if I find a better solution, I'll talk about it more in the future. Yeah, in conclusion, I guess, because I don't really have anything else to say about this project, get yourself some wider tires for the front of your long wheelbase recumbent bicycle. Thanks for watching, and good luck out there to those of you who also own long wheelbase recumbents.